Today I'm on location in Paris, France, and the reason why I'm here is I am researching the foundations of Montandon Frères, which was established originally in business in local Switzerland. However, in 1818 or by 1818 they did locate to France, and it was a two-part organization. One of the branches specialized specifically on watch and clock springs, whereas the second was dealing mainly with watches. So I would like to share my research with you and various places of interest which are related to the brand, as this is the premier Montandon watch manufacturer. So I hope you enjoy this small series of documents and presentations. Bienvenue. One of the interesting things about this building is this building was constructed at the time of one of the world exhibitions, and this is quite interesting because especially by the 1880s. However, from the mid 19th century till 1900 we find many special mentions of Montandon watchmakers for the technology that they were producing, which was top grade at that time. So this building in a way is one of the remnants of that technological age of the high prowess technological sophistication that they enjoyed. So I'm on Rue Jean-Jacques Rousseau and at number 16. Now this street used to be called Honoré, or rather Grenelle Saint-Honoré, and later it became Traversier Honoré, and after this it was named Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Now this is the location from at least the mid 1820s, most likely after 1825, but 1826 until at least 1850 for Montandon Frères, Paris, and they sold watches from this location. They were also joined by Charles Montandon from La Chaux-de-Fonds and his son Jules Henri. Now all of the brothers were living in these buildings, and they are adjacent to the royal palace where Ulysse Montandon witnessed the 1830 uprising. Now, this place would also later be occupied by a representative, a person who was selling watches that they made under as like a commissariat, a commissionary. So this commissary was located at the same place until 1908, I believe. So, and this would have gone all the way up until the last representative. So I'm on Rue Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and I'm right in front of number 14. Now, this is most likely the last location of Montandon Frères. Now, they were in this area between the mid 1820s and up until 1850. After 1850, they remained in this area. However, all of the children had went back to Locle, and their representative sold out of this location. This was the main area in Paris where Montandon Frères realized the sales of their watches. The street has changed names many times. over those years. Originally it was Grenelle, Saint-Honoré. Later it became Traversière Honoré, and finally it was renamed till its present name of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Rue Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Now, this also is an area known for Swiss business and expatriates from Switzerland operating in this street, so that's another reason for the name change to salute this. I'm also at the Rue Pas des Petits Champs, which is one of the first addresses utilized by Montandon Frères, and this is a place where both the springs side, the foundry, and the watch sales were located. So this is before they split into the separate addresses. And this is once again right adjacent the main location, Paris. The Grenelle Saint-Honoré, later renamed Jean-Jacques Rousseau. So I'm less than a block and a half. These are very small blocks, the way the roads slant. However, I am very close to the old headquarters of Montandon Frères, Paris, and this church is the Protestant temple, the oratory of the Louvre, and this is the location where Balthazar Montandon's son, Auguste Laurent, was the chief minister of the church. Now this went from the 1840s up until 1876 when he died. So he was stationed here, and once again it shows how close these Montandon Blaise-Léon family members were integrated very closely together. And even though he was a minister of the church, Paris was quite small at that time in this regards. Now the street of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, this is once again a Swiss writer, and my understanding is that there were a lot of Swiss traders and merchants operating on that street at the time, so it was sort of a small little Switzerland in Paris, if you will. But they were praying here. So just a little note for the record. So at present, I am at the Rue François Miron. Now this was one of the locations of Montandon Frères on the spring side, and I'm presently at across from number 14. I believe this is the odd side, and so this is the general area. I have to check the specific address, but they were in this area in the early years, and I will provide the dates as per the French commercial almanacs. This was in the early story of Montandon Frères on the watch and clock spring manufacture side. So today I am at François Miron number 8, and this is the building, and this was the location, if the numbering system is the same and has not changed. This is the location of Montandon Frères on the spring side for watch and clock springs between 1840 and 1846. Now this would have been after the death of Henri Guillaume, who died in the 1830s, I believe 1836, of cholera. Now his two brothers that would have been located here would have been Louis Francois and Henri Abraham. So they were still growing and enlarging their business at this time, and by 1847 they would already be transferred referring to Rambouillet outside of Paris, where they would have a very large production facility, and that would grow exponentially after that. So after the opening of the Rambouillet production facility on the Rue de Hazard number 8, this would have been in 1847. We see that the Francois Miron location is closed. However, sales actually did continue in Paris from 1847 until 1852 at the Rue Léon Saint-Paul number 16. And so we see here that whereas the production facility has gone large scale, the sales themselves for watch and clock springs did continue at Paris from this location. And as a matter of fact, we are very fortunate in having a hand note from this period dating 1849, an original hand note on the Montandon Frères letterhead, which I will share here. But this is really interesting because this shows a little bit the type of paper, the letterhead that they used, what information was relayed in that, which also alludes to the winning of medals at these French and international shows. And this is quite interesting because already in 1834 and in 1844 we see silver medals being taken in French shows. This is quite fascinating. So I'm in the center of Paris, next to the Ile de Saint-Denis, and it should be noted that between 1850 and 1890 we find the firm of Montandon Frères, the spring manufacturers. They were the world's largest producer of watch and clock springs, and the highest quality. So this was up into the Belle Epoque, and they gained worldwide renown, having sold watch and clock springs across the world, including in other parts of Europe and North America. This was a brand that was very well known, and this is noticeable in the world fairs, the exhibitions held in various different cities across the world, but in this half-century period in particular. Just a note for the record. So this morning, I'm in the cemetery of Montmartre in Paris, and I'm on a quest to find the grave of Balthazar Montandon. Now, Balthazar was one of our earlier and more interesting watchmakers. Now, he originally set up in Clermont-Ferrand, and later he retired, moved to Paris in the 1820s, and died in 1839. And I am looking for his grave. I know he was buried here in March of 1839, based on their records, and I can provide the documentation. However, while searching for his resting place, I do find the following: Famille Montandon. Now this is the grave of Frédéric Montandon, and this is most likely the individual that was with Montandon, Luba and Company. They also traded in watches, and amongst other things, they were commercial traders. However, I will continue the quest to find Balthazar's grave, but for this moment I will present the grave of Frédéric Montandon. So continuing the search for Balthasar, this is a rather difficult challenge in that there are thousands of graves here. Now, the period when Balthasar was interred, many of the records are not very complete. It is marked that he is in a small stone chapel, and there's very scant information. However, it is also possible that the grave that he is in is unmarked, but it is most likely one of these small stone chapels. And once again, we do not know whether this was a temporary burial or was this one that is in perpetuity. So I do have a feeling that he is here somewhere. However, should I find him, I will let you know. So I'm standing on the Rue d'Amsterdam, number 71. I'm looking at this building. This is the residence of the Frederick Montandon that was buried at the Montmartre Cemetery. Now, both he and his son were both involved in this Montandon Lupa and Company. They traded and imported and exported, including watches, but they were also active in various different logistics companies, transportation companies at the time, shipping companies, and they also were largely involved with Brazil, in particular at Santos. But later the son would also be involved in a company, Montandon Frères and Company. Now this was specifically with regards to Chile in South America. So they had a lot of South American connections. But this residence here is the address that is given for many Montandons of the Quatremer branch, but Charles Albert Montandon may have used this address as they are listed at this address with regards to a Swiss-French sort of social club, more or less a charity organization. But anyways, this is the location that is given for them. Rue d'Amsterdam, number 71. Now, another place of interest in Paris, specifically with regards to the early 1890s until at least 1929, 1930, is the Rue de Turenne, number 98. Now, this address was the location of Henri Montandon's watch shop. Now, his production facilities was in Besançon, where his father, Henri Louis, had started the business. However, he would move by the early 1890s, perhaps as early as 1892, 1893, to this location. Now, I did plan on visiting this location. However, at the very time that my visit coincided, there was a street repair happening to the facade and the building is not visible. However, currently the location is a wine bar, and I will provide the map and location from Google Street View for your reference. So, after the death of Napoleon Bonaparte, his banker Lafitte had to sort out the affairs. Now, Lafitte had financed the revolution under Napoleon and financed Napoleon's wars, and we find Balthasar Montandon's son, Alexis Montandon, was the official to whom Lafitte was corresponding and attempting to sort out the costs which were coming due. Now, many years ago, approximately 10 years under, a treasure trove of documents were auctioned, including the last testament of Napoleon Bonaparte, and many of these papers between Alexis Montandon and Monsieur Lafitte were included in this. So this is very interesting, and this relates to the children of Balthasar Montandon.